He's a very busy man, but this is a priority for him. He is right here tonight with us with an award that he created to honor the most important figures in music. He named it the Impact Music and Culture Award. Please welcome Brian Hardgroove.
Hey everyone, how you doing? I really can't tell you what this means to me, but I will try, all right? And I'll try to make it quick. In 1974, I saw Earth, Wind & Fire, their first arena tour, okay? And I believe the engineer for that tour is here. Lon, are you here? Anyway, he was working with George Massenburg, and I just met him today. I wanted to be a police officer when I was a kid because then, as now, in the hands of the right people, it's a noble profession, all right? And when I saw Earth, Wind & Fire, having been bussed into sort of hostile environments, that concert was in a deeper hostile environment. And I was surrounded by people that would have, outside that arena, been possible enemies, okay? And watching them perform with all of these beautiful people around me made me realize the power of the discipline of music and the messages that it can carry. And I realized that being a police officer, I would be too late to help anyone. I'd be dealing with someone after they've been victimized or after they have victimized someone. So music was my calling at that point. And the bands that meant a lot to me weren't exclusively bands that had powerful political or social messages. I loved bands that didn't have that had great music. Ohio Players is one of my favorite bands, although they had political messaging, if you read it. The Police had political messaging that a lot of people didn't catch. Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, who took a lot of heat for writing 41 Shots, which I think a lot of you would remember. Okay? So when Chuck, after watching me do a number of projects, I guess he was watching me closely, when he called and asked me to join Public Enemy, I was a fan. I had 3 favorite bands that I just followed all the time. It was Earth, Wind & Fire, The Police, and Public Enemy. And when Chuck asked me to join, how many people can say they were asked to join their favorite band? Not many of us. And then it led to me working with a lot of my favorites, okay? Watching him up close deal with all the nonsense that he's had to deal with before I joined, and a lot of nonsense he had to deal with since I was in the band, made it very clear to me that my admiration for him was correct and well applied, if that's a way of saying it. And so when I was asked when Chuck agreed to come in and participate in the talk that we're doing tomorrow at noon here, then the idea of an award came up. And I said, let me come up with an award. Came up with a name. Then I took a couple of days to come up with a mission statement for the award. And that mission statement, after reading it later, a couple of days later, I realized it was actually what mattered to me. You know, having an impact, a social impact, and doing your art on a high level, which Public Enemy did. And I'm like, wow, it couldn't be more perfect. Sort of like what the story DXT was telling, you know? It sort of wrote itself. And the honor I've had of being in that band that helped launch other opportunities for me is immeasurable, you know? And to ask Chuck to now join me so NAMM can honor him means more to me than anything I can say to you, you know? But I know that Public Enemy has touched all of us, whether we dug the music or not. I'll tell one short story. We were on tour in Australia when Barack Obama was president-elect. We did the tour in December. He had already been elected. And the media had asked the obvious question, what do you feel about first black president? And it was Chuck and I doing the interview. I think it was in Melbourne somewhere. And Chuck was sitting next to me, and he can corroborate this or say, Brian, you're lying. And he was sitting next to me, and he gave his answer, a well-considered answer. And then I said, I'd like to add to that, I think Public Enemy had something to do with that, with Barack Obama being elected, because the message of the band came at a time that helped a lot of young non-black people in America realize that black men are not something to be afraid of. Because the message of Public Enemy, if you take a song like Fight the Power, although the music was from the perspective of black men, because that's what Public Enemy is, black men in that group, a song like Fight the Power was about fighting the power of injustice, which everybody suffers from, okay? And I think a lot of young folks applauded that in their mind, just like you did, and sort of softened the soil for people to vote for a black man that they're not so afraid of, you know? So I thank Chuck for that. And when the history books are written, later on, you know, a couple of generations down, I believe Chuck's name will be in it. All right? So with that said, please give a nice, warm NAMM welcome, and please stand for this man. Welcome the mighty Chuck D.